Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. Dirt bikes on the streets of Triangle cities have caught the attention of law enforcement who say they're dangerous.
If attention is what they're seeking, they're going to get it in the form of charges.
Now, officers are trying to keep motorcycle and ATV groups off the street. WRAL Investigates producer Randall Kerr explains how that push is also happening online. Randall, thanks for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So when did WRAL first start looking into this?
This problem really started about 18 months ago. They were taking over, Raleigh, Durham, Hillsborough, Chapel Hill. I mean, really the whole triangle. I mean, they're on wheels, so they can
go anywhere.
They can move. So there was a task force created to go after these folks. The problem is they don't like to stop for law enforcement when they're spotted. So now we found that police are taking different tactics to make that happen.
Okay. And let's get into that. What are some of the different tactics that they're using?
So when they announced a task force between a lot of the local law enforcement agencies, Chapel Hill's police chief, Celisa LeHue, said, if they want attention's what they're going to get in the form of charges. And what we found in searching through court records and search warrants is that, well, they like the attention, and you know where people like to have attention? On social media. So they post things online, they post things on Instagram, Facebook, and there's a hashtag that they all use, 919 Bike Life, and 919 is obviously the area code for this area. So what we found is a series of search warrants that were filed in Durham to take a different tactic to try to catch folks. And in many of the cases, police officers tried to stop riders, and they don't stop. They go in and out of traffic. And what we found is there were officers who spotted certain riders, and then they went to their social media pages and found photos that matched what they had seen. And so now they're going to Instagram, Facebook, and filing search warrants to get account information. And a lot of them are public access, so you don't have to be a private follower of someone to get the photos, but some are. So they're going after those guys, and if they can prove that they're posting videos of themselves, it's kind of an interesting tactic because they're really telling on themselves, and police can use that. Now, whether that's going to hold up in court, we'll see.
Right.
A lot of these cases are pending. I know there's been some issues. I know in Durham where there's a little bit of concern about whether people are being held accountable once they are arrested, if they're actually pulled over at the scene. So we'll see how this whole online tactic works, but at least it shows that they're not stopping they're just not complying on the road. We're going to try to get you some other way.
Right. And you mentioned a couple of places there. You mentioned Durham, you mentioned Chapel Hill. What are the different areas that are targeting this right now?
It is really every law enforcement agency in the Triangle area. So when they announced this task force, we heard from Raleigh's police chief, Chapel Hill's police chief, Hillsborough. We heard from everybody. And, so they're all trying to do it. And the one thing that's great is with this task force, they're all sharing information because, as we mentioned, these riders travel around. So the same guy that's causing problems, or girl, I guess, that's causing problems in Durham, 2 hours later, they may be in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. So if there's any video, anything that, any tips from the public that they're getting, they can share information and really try to hone in. Because like anything else, there are probably a couple of really bad actors or orchestrators who get all of this stuff working. So they share information to try to get these people.
All right, let's take a quick break right there, and we'll be right back. Randall, we were talking about sort of what law enforcement are using to find these dirt bikers, ATV people, riders, motorcycle riders that are out on the streets in this 919 group. Why do these groups do this?
I think the Chapel Hill police chief, as we talked about, hit it on the head. I mean, they're looking for attention. It's just a way to. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if they're trying to create problems, but they are a problem. I mean, these vehicles that they're riding are unlicensed. They're unregistered, they're uninsured, which is the big key. So if they cause an accident and they flee the scene, there's really no recourse. I mean, could you sue somebody civilly? Sure, you could. And we know how that works most of the time. You win a judgment and you don't get paid a dime. So, for drivers who are trying to deal with this as they weave in and out of traffic, and they're doing wheelies and tricks and all sorts of stuff while they're doing this, and social media shows that. I mean, we've been to all these pages that they searched, and they really are dangerous. I mean, so if you swerve and to avoid something, but you hit a car at the same time, well, now both of you may be on the hook for this. I mean, it's almost like dodging deer, during the breeding season.
Right. Yeah. It's just can be kind of chaotic, I would think, on some of these streets. So what can drivers do if they encounter these folks on the road?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really hard to tell. I mean, some obviously are more aggressive than others, but the bottom line is if you feel like it's an unsafe environment, because we're not talking about one or two. Usually it's a pretty big group that's going in and out of traffic, that if you feel unsafe, obviously no road rage here. We don't want you encountering and confronting people.
It's never the answer.
No, just pull over and let them pass and really take notes. I mean, if you have your phone, take some photos. Durham has a web portal where you can actually post photos, descriptions, time, date, location, everything that will help police put pieces of the puzzle together to try to catch these folks.
Yeah. And what is sort of the timeline, if there is one, for this task force to when they'd like to maybe see a difference in how frequent these groups are getting together?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't put a timeline on when this will end.
Sure.
But, we spoke to Durham and Chapel Hill, and they say that they've seen their actions making a difference. They've made some arrests, and as we mentioned, they may not get prosecuted. They may be back out. I mean, one of the search warrants we read was a guy who was back on the streets but was charged not long after the task force started. So he was already back out there doing the same type of thing. So, it's a revolving door. You're going to keep having to, the same folks are going to keep doing the same thing. But I guess if their idea is if they can get the message out that they're going to keep coming after you, then maybe it's time to stop.
Anything else people should keep an eye out as this continues, this investigation, this task force keeps working?
No, just always keep your eyes on your road, and especially on your mirrors if you're in some of these places. And the good thing is a lot of these bikers, and just like some cars, they're tricked up a little bit, so you don't have to see them coming necessarily. You can hear them coming. So just keep an eye out, keep an ear out, and if you hear something and you see this huge swarm coming behind you, maybe pull over for a little bit. Just let them pass. I mean, they're out there just for the attention and for the eyeballs, and they're having fun, but they're having fun at everyone else's expense.
Right. Well, we hope that this all works out and they're able to keep us safe. Thank you so much for your reporting on this, Randall. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. That's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.